Born Primitive Outdoor is proud to partner with Montana Knife Company, Marsupial Gear, Evolution Outdoors, Sheep Feet, and Capture Gear. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks to our sponsors. Welcome back to the Born Primitive Outdoor podcast. I should probably stop saying the same thing every time I start one of these. It gets old. I should just say, hey, what's up? But I've got my longtime friend, Randy Cooling, on the podcast. Randy owns Safari Tough. Killed just about everything on the planet with a recurve. But I've had you on the podcast before. It's been a minute, though.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's good to get back on with you and that. Yeah, I've been on a few times.
First time we did a podcast, we didn't talk about hunting hardly at all. We talked about construction.
And that one went over pretty good, actually.
Really good. That was one of our most downloaded podcasts. Didn't talk shit at all about hunting. But you, well, yeah, tell everybody, for all the newcomers or whatever, a little bit about what you do and the Safari Tough and everything else.
Yeah, I've had Safari Tough for about 6 years now. And originally I was an elevator guy for 42 years, fixing elevators and escalators. Wanted something to do. I was going to retire. I was tired of it. And so, Rod Jenkins, owned it before me. He's, coaches archery all over the country. And, I got it from him and got it going and building it. And now I have a business partner, Danny Villarreal. And because of him being a lot younger and a lot smarter and works his butt off, we've really taken off and grown. And what it's done is it's made a lot more work for me now.
So for those who kind of, Randy and Danny Sturgis got me shooting a Black Widow when I was first getting into trad, which the Black Widow bows are amazing, and the whole crew over there. And that's what I just actually ordered, what I'm going to hunt with this year's a Widow. But the back quiver, Randy's there. If anybody ever sees kind of this tubular back quiver for holding your arrows, broadheads, or field points, that's Safari Tough. You make finger tabs, arrows, multiple different arrows,
bow cases.
Yeah, bino harness, the quietest harness on the market, actually.
Yeah.
I would say the bino harness, I'm not good, bad, or indifferent. The bino harness holds your binos. There's nothing overly special about it, but it's the only quiet one on the market.
Oh, and I made it to be simple too. I mean, it's not this big extravagant looking thing, but it's quiet on the inside and the out. There's no magnets, there's no snaps, there's no zippers. You get used to the way it hooks, and it's very easy. Has a phone pocket between you and your chest, which makes it nice in the wintertime. It'll keep your phone warm, and so your battery doesn't run down so easily too. And there's a couple pockets, and then we have rangefinder pockets that you can attach to the harness itself. But, yeah, we've been selling a ton of them. Once guys get them, because they look pretty basic in that too, but once guys get them, they fall in love with them. And we've been selling more and more and more all the time.
Yeah, really where I kind of show those off is, we do stalking classes and hunting classes or whatever, whatever you want to call it. What was that? Derek Zoolander for kids for kids who can read good. Yeah, we have the course for hunting. And so what I think was probably like the biggest eye opener, we put somebody down below that's, going to be the deer. And then you have to stalk in on that person. And believe me, humans hearing is nowhere near a deer. So if I'm hearing you, you're definitely fucked. And that bino harness was a big one. How much noise that makes, not yours, but a bino harness in general. And
it does. Yeah.
Yeah. And I use yours as an example for that of the noise difference, and not just the outside. Getting them in and out is a big one, especially if you hunt with a stick bow and you got to get relatively close. It's a big eye opener. So
yeah, even a rangefinder pocket. I called a bull in one day, and I saw about where he was going to walk, and it was one of those dead quiet in the morning. And you don't
Here.
realize all the different sounds you can make and stuff till you're in the woods and it's dead quiet. And just taking my rangefinder out, I didn't have a pocket yet for my vinyl case. I hadn't made one out of that material, and I had one that was made out of Cordura. And oh my God, I just hated it trying to get it out of that case. It just sounded like I was just rattling it in there. And I got back and immediately got one made then. And
and Cordura's got a lot of good things about it, but noise ain't one of them. It's loud.
No, it's not. No, it's tough. It's good. We use it for some stuff. We do. So we sell bow cases that are Cordura and that, but most of our products, pretty much all of them, we do make with a quieter material on them. Bow cases you can get with Cordura on it, but that, just like that back quiver you're talking about, it's made with that fleece material too, on the inside and the out. It does have a plastic sheath on the inside, kind of to give it some rigidity.
Yes.
And there's a rain cover that goes over the bottom of it to keep the weather out, keep the dirt out, pine needles, keep your broadheads from getting wet. And of course, the cover on the top, the storm cover on the top.
But, where I've used that probably as much as anything. I strap it to my pack. I'll wear it as a back quiver, and I've used it for a compound and a recurve because it's, if you're in a target rich environment, it's not a horrible idea to have that thing in the blind. And the other thing is, if you don't like shooting with a quiver on, that is a very good, I don't like hip quivers. I'm not when I see that for shooting, Chuck Adams may have been great, but it just doesn't make sense to me to.
I've tried them and they just never worked out for me.
Mm-hmm. But that thing works good for strapping it to the side pack too.
You can strap it like on backpack sheep hunts and that, just for hiking. I'll strap it totally onto it. Yep. But like when I'm hunting, normally there's about a halfway up, a little more than half. There's a D-ring on the side, and what I do is take and hook a carabiner on there, and then usually every good backpack has plenty of places on it that you can hook. And just hook that carabiner, and that thing will hang perfect right underneath your arm, and you don't need the strap over your head.
Yeah.
Then you can just have it hang there.
Yeah, I was finagling it on the ones I'm working on to work, because I don't mind having a bow, quiver. It doesn't bug me as much as it bugs you, but I think probably the biggest thing I noticed is with a compound, I don't notice in tuning from from 6 or 5 arrows to no arrows shooting through paper. It's a lot bigger of a deal with the stick bow. Yeah. As your paper tune, dropping all those arrows to putting them all in does change. It changed significantly.
Absolutely. Just going from a G10 to a wood riser will change your tune. Anytime you add weight to that recurve or longbow, anytime you add weight, you need a stiffer arrow. It shoots a stiffer arrow. And I have a little quiver I've made, and I actually was marketing them for a while, but it'll hold 2 arrows with broadheads on it. Kind of the reason I don't like a bow quiver too is if you're in a lot of wind, then you don't have that parachute on the side of your bow or that for the wind to catch. And also going through a lot of brush and stuff, the more arrows you got in your bow quiver, the more arrows you got that can get knocked out of it.
Yep. And I think that you, from experience over years, have changed. So in the beginning, did you?
Oh yeah.
Were you using like the full Monty 6-7 arrow quiver? Whatever?
Yeah, as many as I could get. Yeah, no, I did. I shot a bow quiver for forever. I just never until I saw this one that Rod Jenkins had, because those what were those back quivers you could buy for a long time?
Rancho Cucamonga.
Rancho Safari. Yeah. They had those were available and stuff, but I just shot a bow quiver. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and I got using the side quiver and not using the quiver at all, and then I made a 1 arrow quiver to go on my bow, so I just have one to grab. sometimes if you're crawling in and stuff, it's nice to have an arrow just handy to grab right off your bow. So I always have 2 arrows on my bow now, and then you grab one, and the little quiver I have that I designed only weighs 4 ounces, the whole quiver. So
not much.
It's but
what do you have for arrow options? You've got from when I've got some of the ones I've got are before you even came out with them. But.
Yeah, I think so too. We have an arrow called a Taipan that's a protruded carbon, and it's on the lighter side grains per inch. And that's my favorite. I'm a lighter arrow guy. Try to get as much speed as I can out of my recurve. Keep my gaps down for shooting longer distance. And next in line, we have we call them Cobras, and they're a 3K carbon weave. They're a little tougher than a protruded carbon. We do offer with the Taipans, I push everybody to get point collars, shoot the hit system, get point collars and knot collars. And those things are tougher than hell. I had guys shooting them off steel deer at shoots and stuff, and they wouldn't break the arrows. But the Cobra line, we did come out with a half out for those if guys want them. They're really durable. And actually, Denny Sturgis and Marie both, they use half outs on them. And Denny's shooting 74-pound longbow. And they'll take a pretty good beating. He's hit those steel rods in Reinhardt targets and kicked them bad in that. And you might shear a knock, but they hold up really well. They're a tough arrow. We do offer stainless steel point collars for those that are only weigh 37 grains, and a stainless knot collar that weighs 5 grains. Then we have that Taipan we just came out with this year, and we can't keep them in stock. They're just a wood grain. They're that protruded carbon like our Taipans, but they're a wood grain, and they're really nice looking. That wood grain we have, guys get them and say, "Oh, these are too pretty. I'm going to break." And that they're really sharp. And then we do offer a 244, the 5/16 shaft. We call them old schools, and they're just a wood grain 5/16 basic old carbon for guys that like those.
Is that what is that what Chris Perino
shoots? Yeah. He actually said, "Why don't you call them old schools?" And so I said, "Yeah, why not? Why not? They're not original, but I mean, that's what the first good carbon arrows that came out, I always thought were the gold tips, the multi-layered gold tips, the way they made them. They were like 5 layers of carbon running different directions. And to me, those are the old school carbons. There were some before that. The Beeman had a 166 shaft that if you glanced at all, it would splinter. And AFC had one that was a little tougher than the Beemans, but their marketing wasn't as good, and I think Beeman took over because of that.
Yeah, I'm looking at your arrow line now. You've got all kinds of, you got test kits, which are good, and then you've got a brass insert that you can go from 100 down to 50.
We also, I did, yeah. I came up and started selling that. And also we have, and believe it or not, we're
on that then?
What? Oh, I know who's copying me on it.
Yeah. Fuckers.
I saw they have them now, and they're not buying them from me. But I also just came out with, and believe it or not, we're selling them, a 200 grain brass that breaks off to 150.
No shit.
And I came out with those because we have a 150 spine and a 200 spine.
Yeah.
And the 200s are like 12.1 grains an inch, and the 150s are 14.7. And I came out with them for me and Denny basically to see if we could build a buffalo arrow and just build a heavy arrow and not have to add shafts inside or anything inside to do it. And I was able to get it done just out of my 72-pound whittle. I've used a 200 spine, and I came out 830 grains with that.
Yeah. in the traditional world, I haven't, I'm just picking it back up, but the question has definitely come across my plate enough to where I'd be rich if I got money for it, about you shooting light arrows and me shooting heavier. Now, I don't shoot insanely heavy arrows. I'm usually 550 to 575, but you've killed most of your stuff with the recurve in the 450 range. Like how?
Yeah, anywhere from 450 to 500. Yeah. I don't get too hung up on it, because what's more important is you got a perfect flying arrow, your perfect tune. Yeah. So when I do go to a different arrow or that, I tune them so they're perfect. I shoot a bullet hole at 6 feet, and whatever they tune out, they are. If I don't like the weight, then I'll have to change and go to a different arrow or a different spine, drop a spine or whatever. But like right now, I'm at 512, and that's about my upper limit. I don't want to go any higher than that. I like being down. I like being down in that 575 to 500 range if I can.
You've shot just about everything with that. Well, I'm trying to think. You shot your brown bear with that weight, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you zipped right through it.
Oh yeah. My polar bear was a 500 grain arrow, 510 or something like that. Bears are pretty soft though, but I've shot through moose. I've killed every species of moose, and I've shot through them. I shot through an Alaskan moose lengthwise with a 494 grain 2413 swaged with a 100 grain glue-on broadhead put on it.
Oh shit! That's so old it had sideburns. A lot of people listening in may not even know what that is.
Won't know what swaged is even.
No. Oh shit! That's funny. Well, when you like, for you, obviously arrow flight, and then like you said, speed, and so for those listening, accuracy, and for those listening in that are kind of new to this, the way that you and I don't shoot a whole lot different, but I use my point for an aiming device. It's like a pin, right? And so I memorize if I was shooting earlier today and it whatever 32 yards, I'm down by the knee with my point, or whatever, but my gaps are probably double what yours are at certain distances. But I mean, guys that are just shooting 20 yards and in, it's not really so critical. Yeah.
But when you want to start getting past that, it's pretty amazing how far an arrow drops from 20 to 30 if it's not going very fast.
I was going to do a video, with me getting kind of explaining how I set up my bow and whatever else, just for people that ask, and then just show the two differences and have what I've got set up now, and which is slow. It'd probably be, I'm assuming 175 feet per second at my poundage, give or take. And then like show that, cause it's real easy to show. Just put a target at 40 and have your, get out there and let her rip, and then put a target at 30 and you can
hold the same thing. Yeah. And how you go.
You get the same point on. Let's say that point on's 40. So meaning if I put my point at 40 with a 500 grain arrow and a 580 grain arrow, and then I go to 30 and you shoot, you're going to see immediately like one's probably going to be 8 to 12 inches high, and the other one might be 2 feet. I mean, it's substantial when you get into those.
It is. And I've shot veins now for the last 12 years. And one thing, just to give you an idea how the big difference and the little things that can change, shooting 4 2-inch razor feathers and then putting on 3 2-inch VaneTech HPs, which are like a blazer, but they're that shape of a blazer. They're a little softer. At 50 yards, there's 3 yards difference.
Yep.
From them little feathers to them little veins. That and trad veins, same thing. 3-inch trad veins are 3 yards slower than my little VaneTech HPs. Now, some of that probably has to do with stiffness of the vein and everything too. Yeah. The because the trad veins are soft, they're going to flutter a little. But 3 yards at 50, that's a tremendous amount of distance.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look, like I fletched up some arrows last night, and I did 3 4-inch like turkey feathers on some or whatever, but like three left helical feathers, and you compare that to 3-inch trad vanes at 40, it's a foot with the feathers. Like the feathers are a big difference, but the biggest thing for me with feathers is I like feathers. They're loud. I don't like that part. They're loud.
Yeah.
And that's probably the biggest. I got used to a slower bow, I don't mind whatever. I can figure that out. But comparing a vane to a feather in flight on noise it's an astronomical difference. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was on a brown bear hunt, and it rained every day, and every day my feathers were flat. And I just came home and said, I'm never going to do this again like this. And I bought 12 different vanes and tried the ones. And I've had to switch now from the Vane Techs. And I'm shooting these, is it Q2I griffs?
Yeah, Q2I.
I was telling you,
Griffs.
Q2I griffs. And they're a little bit stiffer because they're a little lower profile. But they're shooting good. I shoot an elevated springy rest, and they shoot really well off there. And then I just came on. Somebody told me about. I don't know why I didn't know about them. Are the AAE Plastifletch 26s, and I've made some up with that, and they shoot real well too. And they're a little softer than the Griffs.
Yep, I was going to say they're kind of between the Griff and a trad vane.
Yeah.
And those have actually been out for
I think probably a long time.
30 years, maybe 25. Yeah, a long time. I mean, that was the vane to have in the early 2000s for like tournaments and
oh
stuff.
My God.
But it's crazy how much, and Randy and I've talked about this on other podcasts, how much things change and evolve, and some of the things that are, remember when Arnold used to like spin his arms when he'd lift, and he did that shit so everybody'd copy him? But then it became doctrine, right? Like there's a lot of that in tradition, in archery combined. So like, when I first started shooting, I was just listening to what I thought that people were in the know, and I just copied them, right? And when I say that, I'm saying nothing bad about Tom Klum. He taught me a ton of different stuff, and Randy and Denny and Tom pretty much taught me everything, but he always shot feathers, right? I mean, it's just, he shot 3 5-inch feathers, and it worked for him. He could shoot decent. He killed shit or whatever else. And then, I mean, I'm only speaking for the last few years since I got into this, but then Cody Greenwood dove in about the Trad Lab and all his testing or whatever else. Cody's a very good friend of both of ours. And then, like
Cody's a good guy.
James Yates just did on the compound side with Easton, like the most in-depth test ever made. And people ask me, are you going to change your vanes because of what James Yates said? Or are you going to change because of what Cody said? And I'm not like that. I'm like, I give a fuck what any of them say. Like, I'm going to shoot what's most comfortable for me, that makes me feel warm and fuzzy. But the one thing I will say, and I think you would agree, is that lasts about the time until you miss a big animal, and then you're probably going to dissect that a bit, right? And so whether it's your fault, it's never the Indian's fault. It's always the bow, right? But I mean, when you look at like vented broadheads and how noisy they are, or feathers compared to vanes, how many of those moments, or which ones stuck out the most for you over time, where you thought you had it figured out, and then had a few different instances, then you were like, I might need to change some shit?
I had to change a broadhead. I don't want to go into which one.
I know which one.
I had a broadhead.
I shot the same broadhead and changed for the same reason you did.
I killed stuff with it. I killed a bunch of stuff with it. Yeah. And then I had like 4 bad things happen in a row that absolutely were not my fault. They were perfect shots, and animals weren't dying. They weren't going down. And I got them. I got 3 out of 4 of them, but I mean, you see it. I shot an antelope in the right hip, quartered away, shot in the right hip. It came out behind the front leg on the left side, and that antelope lived an hour and a half, and I had to finish it off.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous. That's
and I'm
just
not going to mention the Broadhead.
I was mad. No, don't.
You and I had that going on at the same time because I had shot a bull and I never found it. And you can make yourself believe anything you want, like where you hit it and everything else. But I'm usually pretty, well, you're the same. I've done this enough to where I'm usually pretty accurate of where I hit. It's not like I go to a client and he's like, oh, pinwheel, and then he shot it in the air. I mean, I usually have a pretty good idea, and good blood tracked it through, or decent blood tracked it or whatever. And the only reason I knew where mine was is it had double eye guards on one side. And later that year during shed season, the game warden got a hold of me and said, hey, I think we found your bull. And I'm like, look, tell the guy I don't need it, but I would really like to know where it died. And it was a 9-yard shot. I mean, I was so certain. I called Amy, my ex-wife, said, I'll be home tonight, got one.
I killed a bull.
Called my buddy and said, hey, come down to the whatever spot. I just smoked one. And then 7 hours later, we're looking, right? And it's weird, I mean, there's just certain things, like you said, that the Broadhead, I may or may not have flung an arrows by Brian Call because he was talking shit about me missing a bull. And I'm like, man, it ducked. It got out of the way. And so he was making jokes or whatever. And then Brian's a great guy, but I remember winging an arrow not dangerously close with a feather. And I was like, geez, dude, how loud was that? Because I'd never been able to stand by a feather. This is when I was first getting into it. Mm-hmm. And he was like, dude, that sounded like a peregrine falcon dive bombing me. And I'm like, man, I promise that, whatever. And so that was one of those times where I'm like, man, is there a better way? And that was in the time when I was talking with you, and you shot veins for a long time. And so then I went from shooting off the shelf and said, fuck that. And then I went to a bare weather rest shooting veins. And then I went to a springy, even though you're the Antichrist when you shoot a springy, because it's more forgiving. And so
I was using them in the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people. Yeah. Well, what's the buff dude from Montana died in a skiing accident, I think.
Paul Schaefer.
Schaefer. I read his book.
Schaefer,
Schaefer shot veins back then.
Yeah, I was shooting veins in the 80s. Marco veins, they were like $2 100 back then.
Dude, you talk about Marco veins. That's definitely talking about, sideburns. Marco veins, when I started, whatever it was in the 90s, that's just what you had, a 5-inch, 4-inch Marco vein.
Yeah.
I mean, they were kind of see-through. Kind of not, uglier than shit. They kind of remind you of trad veins now that you think about it. Yeah, nowadays, yeah.
I mean, they're a little stiffer, but but they're pretty soft.
Yeah. I mean, I remember fletching 5-inch on a Joe Jan Fletcher, Marcos, and then that was back in the day too. Like there was. When you were broke, there was game getters. And then when you had a little more money, there was game getter 2s. And when you were high on the hog, you had XX78 super slams, Chuck Adams arrow.
Yeah, Chuck.
And, then carbon came out. And like you were talking about the Beemans with the half hour,
the 166s, it was a pain in the butt getting components to put on them and stuff. And
stick.
I think there was actually a couple Broadhead companies, and I think Delma that made that MA3 or MA2, that 3-blade head that's kind of, they made one that you bought for the arrow, for the arrow. Like, I think it actually just glued right over the carbon.
Yep. Yeah, I did. Yep.
Yeah. And I don't remember the Beeman sizes. Weren't they like 360-1 or something, maybe? Or
it was
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But you could buy those Broadheads, and that didn't last that long. But I had a friend that worked in a machine shop. I had him making me Broadhead adapters that I could glue right on those, and he drilled them out, and then I could use whatever kind of glue on Broadhead for them and stuff.
I can't tell you. I tune a lot of people's bows here. There's not a lot of great pro shops. How many times that I've said, shut the fuck up, you don't know how good you've had it, to somebody that's 25 to 30. Because And I mean, and you're older than I am, man. Things have changed, right? I mean, it's just better nowadays.
Yeah, I was just at the Professional Bow Hunters Society banquet, and Gene Hopkins there. He has this unbelievable. I guess he's got his own building or that. It's all old, ancient. I mean, it's archery stuff just through the years.
Yeah.
I saw expandable broadheads that were made in 1960 that was like a two-blade. Yeah. I was just shocked.
Yeah.
it had like riveted and two blades kind of it was like a two-blade head, and at the back of the blade, there was like two like thin blades that were riveted, and when you shoot them, they'd catch and open up. If that makes sense. I know people can, but they'd open up like a vortex or something. They'd kind of open like that.
They bounced off the animal too. Then, yeah.
Oh, it was amazing. But my whole point is there really isn't. I mean, there's a few things. A lot of stuff isn't new. You just have better engineering of material.
Yeah.
The ideas have been around a long time.
Yep.
It's just,
I mean, that's no different with clothing, arrows, components, backpacks.
Yeah.
People have been wearing backpacks forever. There's just a lot better shit now because there's better material and components for it.
Yeah. And kind of getting back on the broadhead thing too. It's like you always said too, when somebody's telling you, or you get 4 or 5 guys telling you, I had trouble with this, and you're like, oh no, mine fine. Well, it works till it doesn't. Mm-hmm. And when it doesn't, it can be catastrophic to you because you may not find out on a 3D target. You might find out the hard way.
Well, I was lucky, in the heyday, like it was a long time ago, but a few years ago, like I was getting to hunt a lot and shoot a lot of different stuff. And I had you and Denny and Tom and others, right, to help guide me, along the way. But I definitely, you put enough arrows through animals, there's going to be some moments or whatever when Cody Greenwood's one of those guys, like he'll stand on the mountain for a while, and then he'll come off that mountain and he'll say, I was wrong. And then but the one thing he found out is, amazingly enough, like, you can shoot multiple different types of broadheads with devastating damage, and you shoot Montec sometimes.
I killed my polar bear with the Montec.
Yeah. Who'd have thought it?
I think it's a fine head. Yeah. I've had guys tell me, I'll tell you something I think you really got to watch, because I've had guys tell me, I've heard, they don't hold up, they break. I've shot them into some pretty hard stuff and they held up. And I've had good luck. I've liked how they've stayed sharp for me in my quiver. And but you got to watch. You can go online and find those broadheads for about $1.50 a piece.
Yeah.
On Etsy or some deal like that. And if you're buying them like that, they're not Montecs.
Yeah.
They look like it and they look identical, but you never know what they're made out of and stuff. And I've just had guys tell, you can get them for this at, on Amazon. And I know that's fine. Get them.
Yeah. Well, and what, like, when I was, going through all this and kind of learning and, whatever, the one thing, like when I was worrying about, let's say the broadhead, I may have been maybe not worried about as much of hitting what I was, fucking aiming at, right? Like there's a lot of people that worry about a lot of different things when they should probably go get a coach and learn about shooting. And that was one thing that I really was able to come back to was shooting. Now I say that if you got shitty equipment, you got shitty equipment, but, when I've made bad shots with the stick bow, it's not like, you hit something in the scapula. It's not a whole lot you're going to be able to do about that with a stick bow. Maybe if I was shooting a 90-pound compound, right? But I mean, with the stick, but what amazed me the most when I really started documenting is I didn't pass through a lot of animals with a compound with mechanicals.
Yeah.
And I zipped through a lot of animals with a recurve. And I mean a lot, like almost everyone, like not everyone. And, you figure I'm shooting 285 feet per second with a 480 grain arrow with a compound, and I'm shooting 170 feet per second with a 550 to 575. But, the broadhead's different, obviously. And that was a big eye opener for me. I was like, oh, I'm zipping through everything. And I didn't get that a lot with a compound. It's amazing how much momentum is just stopped with a mechanical. And I like mechanicals. Yeah. I'm not, whatever, obviously, but
right.
It was an eye opener for me.
Yeah. And what you're saying too, I mean, I get phone calls all the time. Guys are worried about their arrow weight. They've tuned their arrows, they're down this low, and they're calling me. I know they're just wanting confirmation that everything's going to be fine. They want me to pat them on the back. And I just tell everybody it's arrow tune, accuracy, and a good sharp broadhead.
Yep.
After that, you're only going through the animal one time. It ain't going to turn around and come back. It's just, that's more, accuracy is so important. And trying to build an arrow that you think you're going to shoot through a shoulder, you're building an arrow to hit what? Maybe 5% of the animal's body, that you're going to miss and hit that 5%, as opposed to hitting the rest of it and killing it.
Yeah. And that's the same compound or stick bow, but I try to explain that. And I'm not against fixed blades or whatever with the compound, but when you start running, numbers, there's a lot more area to kill than there is to hit scapula. And I mean, when you transfer back, you got heart, lungs, you got the liver, you go into the large and small intestine, stomach, and everything else. And so, I've tried to convey to people the chances of you making it through the thicker part of a shoulder of a elk, for example, and then the bone, and then kill it is not great. The chances of you hitting the liver or stomach is relatively high in comparison to, to that, right? So,
yeah.
But go ahead.
No, and because of that, over the years, I've really kind of moved to wanting a broadhead. I like having 1.25 inch cutting diameter.
Yeah.
As opposed to 1 1/16 inch. It doesn't sound like much, but when you actually start looking at the broadheads and that, it sure feels like a lot more.
Well, I mean, I bring it up in bullets. Just I've been shooting guns a lot, and there's not a lot of difference between a 6.5 PRC and a 300 when you just hold it up. But there's a lot of difference when you hit it. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, and that's I'm simplified explanation.
And just like for bears, I was using iron will wides for those. Yeah. Because bears are soft, especially, black bears and that. Guys worry. They for some reason, and I don't know why this is, but that's another call I get about, I'm going bear hunting. Do I need a lot more weight and all that too? And it doesn't take anything to shoot through a bear. Shoot them in the
I mean, how many
hides and
bears I've shot. Well, you have too. And that's the same. Mountain goats are the same as a bear. I'm like, I dull my knife before I cape out a goat and a bear, because I will put lots of holes in it because they're that easy to poke a hole through.
Yeah.
And the thing is like where bears and goats get confusion, it's the blood they hold, right? They don't leave a great blood trail because they got a lot of fur on them, right? And so that sucks up some blood. So you want a bigger hole, but it's not a matter of going through it. You could poke a hole through a bear with a pencil. It's not hard to go through a bear.
No.
But you want a bigger hole for blood trails.
And I push everybody towards a big 3-blade head or a 4-blade head when they're shooting bears.
Yeah.
When I killed my brown bear, I never found one drop of blood anywhere. I shot that with a Zwicky, no mercy. Yeah. And I went through the front shoulder, not the shoulder bone, but through the front leg, and it angled through it and came out in the back hip. And I never found one drop of blood anywhere where that bear stood or walked, even where it laid. There was no blood on the ground.
Will you tell that story? Because, well, hold on. Let me preface this. There's, when you guide, and I've guided multiple different animals, and you're a stick bow guy, within reason, you don't want the guide to shoot your animal with a gun. Now, if it's like in agony and intestines are falling out, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But if you made a good shot and you know it's going to die, you really don't want some jackwagon like me blasting it with a fucking 300 mag, because it takes away your trophy, right? Your hard work.
Yeah.
And some guides, and when I say some, the upper 70% are a bit trigger happy with the gun when you're dealing with bow hunters. And I've heard stories that really pissed me off of the guide running. This happened to you, the guide running ahead and shooting something to, put it down with a gun before you even get there to maybe put another arrow in it with your, bow.
With a mountain goat that happened. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I had a guide red stag hunting down in Argentina. I hit him and we found him and he was standing there, and I started to draw my bow and the gun went off in my ear right next to me. Yeah. And the guy shot it out from under me. I mean, he didn't speak English, so you couldn't even
yell at him. Yeah.
Couldn't even yell at him. It wouldn't done any good. So, and I thought, well, it's over, but very annoying. But
I think
brown bear hunting, you really want to be careful. Grizzly bear hunting, brown bear hunting, you really want to be careful who you're hunting with. Actually, my brown bear, I shot it across the river. It was a 20-yard shot, quartering towards me a little. Probably shouldn't have took it, but I did. It worked out, because I don't believe you should shoot bears quartering towards you. But I was drawing on it. It was head on. It started to turn, and I finished my draw and shot it. And later on, my guide said, I'm pretty sure that I heard this, but he said he tried to pull the trigger on it, but his safety was on.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have been so mad. I can't even tell you. If he would have shot that thing, I made this perfect shot on that bear, and if he'd have shot it with a gun. And he had orders from the outfitter that if that bear wasn't going to die right in the river and it was going to run into the alders, he was to put a bullet in it.
Yeah.
Is what I found out. And,
well, we should talk about that in a minute, but go ahead.
And I'll tell you quick with my grizzly bear. I'll shorten this up a little, but I shot my grizzly bear and I hit it too high, hit it in the spine. Bears can run on their front legs about as fast as they can run on all four.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could not run a bear on two legs when they get their front legs. Anyway, he goes across the valley, gets up in this alder swamp. We go in after it. Make this long story short, the bear is coming at us and we're backing off. And we get in one spot where I told my guide, I said, if you got to shoot that bear, kill him. I don't want me hurt. I said, I don't want you hurt, and I really don't want me hurt. and he says, Randy, I'm not going to kill your bear. And that bear's, I'm standing kind of behind him off to one side, and that bear's coming through the alders, and you hear him grunting and growling, and the brush is moving, and he grabs me, and he pulls me in front of him. He says, he's coming. You got to get ready. And I get an arrow out and knocked, and that bear comes out 7 yards from me head on. And I shot an arrow into it right off the side of its head, down through its shoulder, buried it in its body. The thing went nuts and started rolling all over. And there's just pools of blood it was a swampy, and there's just blood floating on all the water right there and stuff. And we waited a little bit and no more movement. We started walking in, and there's a little mound there. I got up on the mound and I could see the bear. And I pointed at it, and he gives me the, is it dead kind of signal. And I shrugged my shoulders, and I thought, well, I'm not going to let a dead bear hurt me. So I shot another arrow into it, but it was dead. My whole point is that guy is fabulous.
Yeah.
He's killed as a guide, and he's killed some himself, but he's killed like 110 brown bears and grizzly bears now.
Yeah.
So he knows,
Well, that's what I was going to talk to you about, that I think it's important, and this is compound or traditional, but specifically traditional, because some outfitters won't let even let recurve longbow guys, traditional hunters, in their camp, right?
I got kicked out of a sheep camp in the NWT. The guy found out I was shooting a recurve and wouldn't take me. I didn't get up there and get kicked out. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but I booked a hunt, and then he found out and said he wasn't going to let me hunt because I shoot a recurve.
And I'll give my 2 cents, and I haven't been guided a bunch, but I guide is if you can show up and hit the target in front of them, that's a big stress reliever for them. So like I would say, whether that's at camp or when you get flown out, you throw a target in or you're shooting, impress them, right? Like fling some arrows while they're watching, shoot pine cone, shoot whatever, show them you can hit what you're aiming at. But I would say it is extremely important for a traditional archer to let them know your general expectations and your thoughts on things, meaning like you did. Hey, if I wound this man, I get it. But if there's a chance, please don't put a bullet in it, right? Like if I hit liver front, please don't don't put a bullet in it. And then also, is like, hey, let them know, okay, look, I don't want to put your life in jeopardy on the bear hunt or whatever. Let them know, but show them that you have some skills, and that will make them feel. When I went on one of my hunts, I specifically on purpose said, hey man, will you film some of this? And then I shot the target so he could see I didn't suck, just so he felt, and I'll say at the end of it, he was like, man, I feel a lot better now. And that gives him more of a warm and fuzzy when you're going in, and less of a chance of him to get a little trigger happy, on the hunt. But I would like to get your perspective on that.
And you're right. And you got to be honest with yourself too. Yeah. On your abilities and where you hit. So many times, if you do make a bad hit, you try to talk yourself into saying, oh, it wasn't that bad, or maybe it angled up this way or something. You got to be, especially depending on the animal itself. When you're hunting bears like that, you got to be really honest with yourself on what's going on and what happened. But that's the big thing. And normally guides are right there and they know where you hit and what's up.
Well, and I as we're kind of going over all of this, and you've been with more, I've guided more. Well, you haven't guided, but you've been with guides more than me. I'm younger. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with young guides, except there is, right?
That's where I've had my problems.
Well, talk about that. I didn't want to be a total dick, but tell your problems.
The kid that, and I say kid, he was 20. It seems like every time I go on a mountain goat hunt or sheep hunt or that, they're always 20-year-old kids that are 6'4" and weigh 160 pounds. And this hunt, and that's one we were talking about before. The guy'd run off and leave me. He left me on a glacier and I fell through, and I had one leg completely down through the snow broke through with my backpack on, and trying to get my pack off so I could get crawled out of this hole. And he did that with the goat. But I don't know if they're wanting to do it to keep their success rate up or whatever, to prove something. I'm not sure, but he got ahead of me. I shot this goat, and it got swampy, and I snuck in on this goat in my bare feet. And so I had to go back and get my socks and shoes back on after I shot him. And then I had to find my way down off the cliff to this guy. And because he ran ahead without me, and I found my way down. I actually had to drop off about a 10-foot drop, throw my bow down in the grass. And then I kind of hung on and let myself down and dropped down into it. And I no more did that. And I heard the gun go off. And I sat right down there on a boulder, and I shaking my head going, well, there's my goat. Oh. And I get up to the guy, and he says, yeah, I got your goat. He wasn't doing very well. He was just standing down there and having a hard time of it. And I'm like, well, I could have shot it too, And no more was said. I was unhappy, but what are you going to do? It's all over.
Well, and that's where I think it's real important.
Chewing him out and getting mad, and we got to pack this whole thing, go actually up over up a steep mountain and back down a steep mountain. And, it wasn't going to get me anywhere. I told him that, though. I said, I could have shot it myself. But we had to go down there to get him anyway. So we could have snuck down. I could have shot him. But that kind of stuff, it's very, very irritating.
Yeah, and I mean, hunts aren't cheap, right? I mean, it's expensive when you have a guide and an outfitter and everything else. And I can say, going compound, traditional, rifle, guiding, whatever, that it is very important that you tell your guide and make it very fucking clear what you want.
Yeah. Absolutely. But also when you go on hunts like that, if you're going on a $20,000 hunt or $25,000 and with your recurve, you better be ready to come home without something.
Yeah.
If that's all you want to use and that's all you want to shoot it with.
Yeah.
Because your chances, you're hunting out like a lot, especially sheep hunts like that, mountain goats. Mountain goats, I'd say, are a little easier to get. I don't know why. It's harder hunting. It's the hardest hunting I've ever done is mountain goat hunting.
Yeah, I would say they're a little dumber than sheep and they live in more physical country.
Yes. But also I was able to get on them easier than I ever did. Yeah.
They're a little dumber as far as alertness and everything else, but they live in way worse country.
Yeah.
It's been you can give on a goat easier with a bow, with a recurve or any kind of bow, easier than you can a sheep, but you're also going to be sucking your thumb for the hunt, right? I mean, they just live in crazy shit.
Every mountain goat hunt I went on, the first one was in British Columbia, and the second one was down at Cordova. And after British Columbia, and I got down with that goat, I fell packing that goat out, coming down the backside down to the lake where we had to get picked up. I fell 12 times in a rock slide going down to shoot. One time lost my bow. I got stopped. I got my heels dug in, got stopped, and I didn't have my bow in my hand. And I got up and I looked, and I just got up to look around and hear my bow was underneath my backpack behind me, unstrung. And I mean, it was going, and I didn't have walking sticks. I left them in the floats on the plane when we came in. So I'm using my bow as a walking stick too the whole time. And, but yeah, just those. And every time I got done, I thought, I'm never doing this again. I mean, I laid down at the bottom after coming down that one. I thought, I'm never doing this again. And within a year, I'm booking another hunt in a different spot. And Cordova was tough too. I know you hunted down around that area. And for me, where I hunted, it was steep. We had to wear crampons once we got up to the goats because it was so steep.
Not from ice. It's the freaking underbrush or the grass, and it's just steep and wet.
Yeah. And we had to pull ourselves up a lot of spots. The alders were so thick, we were walking on them, stepping in the middle of them and stepping alder to alder in the area I was, because we were staying down in a river bottom, and then we'd crawl up there every day, and then we'd come down at night. And after 2 days, I said, hey, bud, can't we just take little tents and stay up there, take some water? And he says, yeah, we can if you want. And I said, I absolutely want.
I've only hunted there once, and I wounded a goat and lost it and killed that wolverine. And I tell you, when I went though, I felt bad for my guide. Like, where I used to live, I lived at 10,000. My house was at 10,000 feet, and you know how much I train. Well, these guys aren't used to somebody like me coming into camp. It was the first hunt of the year. And they point to where we're going. They're like, yeah, it usually takes 4 hours. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah. When I'm like, whatever, I didn't say anything. I mean, again, I'm at sea level now or whatever, but I ended up shooting that wolverine, and then they flew me in another tag because I put my goat tag on the wolverine. You can shoot 2 goats, and I shot. It died in the cliffs. We couldn't get to it. The one I shot. I mean,
I lost mine in Cordova. It walked off a cliff right into a gorge.
Yeah,
and the guy just stood there saying that goat just committed suicide in slow motion.
Yeah,
it just walked right off there. It's like, screw you, you know.
So while we're talking about goats, what would you say? Low end and high end, what would you say if somebody with a traditional bow, what are some animals they should go after that they have a higher percentage of success animal wise on the low end, meaning lower budget, and high end? Because I would say on the high end, goat is a good one, but on the low end, what do you think?
Yeah. Boy. Depending what low is anymore. It got to the point, Denny, it got to the point now, Denny and I talk about going on a hunt and he'd say it's $5,000. I go, is that it? It's crazy now, for a guided hunt. It's for anything. I know guided caribou hunts are $11,000, $12,000 or more, maybe.
More than that with the Lancasters.
I'll tell you what, though. Oh, yeah. No, I know that. You go up to NWT, it's really not. I think Doll sheep hunts are what, 60, 70,000 now up in the NWT.
And think about when you and I first met, Doll sheep was 20 grand, stone was like 35, right?
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah. I remember when Doll sheep were $5,000 in Alaska. I wouldn't, unless you want to go so you can say you were on a Doll sheep hunt, I'd be very careful about going to Alaska because it's a lot cheaper, but I don't think your success rate there's very good overall. But anyway, on the low end, there's some pretty neat coos deer hunting down in Mexico. You can go on a good trophy coos deer hunt. There's some good outfitters, get shots at Pope and young deer, probably for $6,000-$7,000. I'm saying a real good one. There's other ones that are cheaper. Boy, I don't even know anymore What would you say on the lower end like that?
Man, I don't, like on the lower end.
Antelope hunts. I
was going to say like Ryan
with a good outfitter. Yeah, a good outfitter with antelope hunts. You can go and
I think like antelope, and I say Ryan Rotier, he's booked out forever because he is good, but like you're looking at 3,500. Yeah. Black bear's another one that, you can
go on a pretty good black bear hunt for, they're about $5,000 now to go on a real decent one, but there's cheaper ones for $3,500 and that you can go on that aren't bad.
Those would be the two at first of you kind of suck, but you like it and you want some experience and maybe kill something. I would say antelope and black bear would be, some good ones.
Black bear would probably be the best because your opportunity is more controlled.
Yep. Oh yeah.
As far as getting a shot and having the situation more under control to where you're not worried about it moving quick and stuff like that. Or
with antelope, they drink fast and they don't stay long. It's the problem. If you're at a water hole, like they may come in and drink for 15 seconds and get the fuck out. Where a bear's gonna mess around for a while.
Yeah, I tell you the worst. I've been on a few antelope hunts, but I was on a guided antelope hunt in Wyoming. It was over 100, mostly 110 to 113 degrees every day.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Sat daylight to dark every day. Everybody was killing antelope but me. The very last night, right before dark, a buck comes in. And I'm sitting, and I haven't had one in all week. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden that buck comes in. I go, oh, shit. Hurry up and miss.
Yeah.
I shot over it. all that time I spent, and I made this go so fast from seeing him to shooting him and missing him, rather than take your time, aim, shoot. If he catches you and runs, at least you would have had a chance of hitting him rather than hurry up and fling it really quick, you know.
It's funny you say that. That is one thing I learned with, coming from a compound like back in 16, where I, dropping an 80-yard bomb wasn't shit, right? And I had to relearn to hunt and stalk with the recurve. And the one thing I learned real quick was, if you do your job, they don't stop doing their day-to-day life, right? If you're good at what you do, where I didn't have to experience that a lot with a compound because I'm like, 78. Boom. So I didn't get to interact with them as much as you do with a stick bow, where, man, the first couple of times I was so paranoid, and it finally I had an epiphany, right? Like whatever moment of clarity for an alcoholic, where I'm like, if I'm not an idiot, they're going to keep doing the same shit they've been doing for the last 45 minutes as long as I don't get caught. And that made me slow down a lot, because with the stick, the one thing you'll learn a lot more is animal behavior, because you're going to be in close potentially for a while, right?
You got to pick your shots.
Yep. Yeah. And the one other thing you'll learn is the one shot you think you had that was the only shot probably wasn't a great one, because there's going to be more that present themselves if you don't do anything stupid. Which, like you said, hurry up and miss.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to do. I have on my top limb, I have S, F, D letters in big letters about an inch tall that I wrote with a silver magic marker on my top limb. Slow the fuck down. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, people are listening to this, and especially if compound guys just do it and you'll understand, because I think the first video that Gritty Bowman posted of me was shooting, and I unloaded a 6-arrow quiver, maybe a 7th arrow, at a mule deer inside of 28 yards that was feeding and eating when I shot at it. Right. I had all day. I had snuck in, and it wasn't like a giant deer, but I mean, it was, and I just hurry up and miss. I'm like, it's the only shot I got. And I look like a fat Legolas swinging arrows at it for no reason whatsoever. And so that was one thing that I think, traditional archery will make you a much better hunter, because, I learned if I don't do anything stupid, I'm probably going to end up with a better shot than I originally thought was the only one I had.
Yeah, exactly. And, thinking back to that goat I shot in Cordova that went off the cliff, I made a bad hit the first time that I put another arrow in it, but they videoed me shooting that thing, and I was using a clicker, and I drew back, and that clicker went off. It was 31 yards, I think, 30 yards. Went off, shot it, everything perfect. And the arrow kind of went low left, which is common for me if I collapse.
Yeah,
but
me too. Yep.
I'm really pissed now, because I shot through that. I used the clicker, it went off. No way. How did I miss? Well, you play back the footage, and that clicker was just a collapse timer. That's all it was. And I collapsed, and I'm just sitting watching that, shaking my head, going, I can't. It felt so good, the whole shot. And I guess what I'm saying is, a lot of times you think you do everything perfect, and you don't. And you want to believe you did it, that.
When we're talking about like that with the clicker, to get off the subject of you and I sucking, do you use a clicker now? What are your thoughts on clickers?
What I found out, and what works for me, if I always had a problem of, basically the best way I can describe it is drawn back to anchor. I have no trouble getting anchor, but I rest. When I get back there, I quit pulling.
Yeah.
And if I get back to anchor and I keep pulling and I am not moving, but it feels, my back's, I'm pulling, I'm getting my back together. I'm not moving, but it feels like I'm trying to pull that thing off the shelf. If I keep pulling hard like that, it's easier to aim and I don't collapse. And I don't know why, but it's easier to aim too if I'm pulling hard. If I'm resting, I think what it is, like when you pull back, if you don't keep pulling hard, keep your hand and your forearm relaxed, keep pulling hard. If you're not pulling hard, then the bow's pulling on you is the best way to describe it. You're not pulling the bow's pulling you, which causes a bad release and stuff.
I would say, and I'm not saying anything bad about looking at the camera, Joel Turner. He's a great coach, but I would say Rod Jenkins was the first to say, when in doubt, pull harder. I think he probably coined that phrase. And Joel Turner's a great coach. I'm not taking anything from, but Joel says that a lot, I think, is when I talked to Rod, I would say Rod was the original Joel, right? Rod in the back of the day but not known as well. And when Rod told me that the first time I talked to him, and Rod he's a different dude, right? I mean, he's Southern country boy. The building's on.
He says whatever comes to his mind.
And he was like, like, when in doubt, pull harder, dumb fuck. That's not what he said, but that's what I heard, right? I mean, right now, like I'm shooting, getting back into it now or whatever. I took the clicker off because, like you said, I was filming myself and it's a micro collapse, but it's a click to collapse, like just a little bit. And when I was filming myself without the clicker, I didn't do that. And I think that's a problem sometimes with that clicker.
I shoot better groups without a clicker.
Yeah.
And what I tell everybody about the clickers, you need to practice without it. Using it's fine. If you want to use it, keep your mind, keep control, get under pressure. But you need to practice. You need to keep your good archery form to use it.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that perfect good archery form, I know there's some guys that you look at and go, that don't look so good, but they do the same thing every time. Exact same thing every time.
That would be me.
So, yeah, well, but you got to have that good archery form to use a clicker and make it work right and make it work for you.
You know who's got good, way off the subject, good archery form, which gives me envy, is the cloud square. Bailey and her husband.
That came right to my head when you said that.
I call them Bailey squared. I mean, talk about two great humans in general, right? Yeah. I don't know him as well as, her, but
I know they have too.
They have form that's amazing, right? And so, like, I'm panting and I fling my arm down and they have amazing form.
Well, they make it look easy too.
Yeah, they do.
It doesn't look like they're fighting it or having any trouble aiming or anything. Now, get Bailey to listen to this, and she'll probably get target panic from us talking about it. But
shit! I think Christ, my bows are aluminum and G10, or I'd snap that fucker in half at times. And they're just over there, like perfect every time.
And lightweight bows too. I think we were talking about this a little bit the other day. How I got a 45-pound bow. I had to hang it up. I couldn't even begin to shoot that thing as good as my 60. I didn't realize just how bad I was shooting until I got that.
Yeah.
And it's hard to shoot a 45-pound bow for me. I mean, I'd have to really work at it for a while till get to where I had confidence in it.
What's funny with that is I got a lighter weight bow to hit full expansion and do all the things, and it still sucked, right? I mean, I'm strong as shit, right? Pulling the bow back's not a problem, right? I mean, so then you have where I kind of olay and shit or whatever, I come down, man, that gets a lot more cleaned up at 55 pounds than it does at 44.
Oh, right? You ain't kidding. I mean, for me, my misses, what I'd miss by with my 60-pounder would probably 3 times that with the 45-pounder. I mean, and there's nothing to hold it either. And I think that 60-pounder pulling so much harder, I keep pulling to fight and keep pulling it back. Where the 45, there's just, after shooting that much weight, the 45's doesn't feel like anything.
Yeah.
It just, and that's what I think it is, because that 45 forces me to pull with my back and keep tension and pulling with my back harder and harder. And usually that's what I try to do. If I'm doing it right, is I pull back, I keep pulling, and I keep feeling like I'm pulling as hard as I can. And then after I get on a name, I try to even pull a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Expand with my back. And then it just goes off. Then it's just.
And then get an animal in front of you and everything goes to shit.
Yeah, exactly. I do try to run my steps on an animal if I can. The long shots, it's way easier. I've shot quite a few elk between 40 40 and 55.
Yeah.
Those long shots are way easier to run your steps and aim than having something at 10, 12 yards.
Yeah. Well,
you get that anxiety of they're going to see you and run, or they're going to see you and bold or something. I think, I got to get it off, and so that's kind of where if I get back there at 35, 40 yards and they're, like you say, they're feeding or something, it's way easier to aim and execute at those kind of ranges.
I mean, and that's what you hope for, though, with all the practice that in the moment of truth, right? That some of the things you've spent hours and hours and hours practicing, that it, follows through, that you don't screw up quite as bad.
But I got to tell you, and I don't know how everybody else is, but it seems like if you have some really bad habits and you work on them and all summer and you got it going good and something stressful comes out, it seems like your body wants to revert back to your bad habits.
Well, when we teach, courses, like I have a lot of military guys that work with me, and they, that's one of their, I don't remember the exact saying, but like in the moment of truth, you're going to revert back to what's most comfortable and what you know. And that may be collapsing, that may, whatever that is, like you're gonna go back to that. And I mean, there's nothing, you can't get out of that. But I've got to pee, and so I want you to go over, while I'm using the restroom with everyone, tell them what your setup is, your bow, arrow, release, or when I say release, finger tab, like give everybody broadheads and then some options as well of, maybe what you like. And then I'll be back.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Black Widows. I've been shooting a Black Widow, I know, since at least 1991. I shot a moose in Alaska then. And I've just been with them every time. I've had different bows, and for hunting, I always reverted back to my Widow. I shoot a 62-inch PMAX G10 riser. I like the weight. It just feels better when I shoot. I think it's easier to hold in wind with a heavier riser. I shoot their carbon limbs. Since they've came out with them, that's the only thing I've shot. Their carbon limbs are more stable. You couldn't grab the tip of that bow and twist it if you wanted to, which means if you torque the bow at all or that, it'll stay right there. The carbon limbs will recover a little faster. They'll stop a little. You won't have the vibration. And carbon limbs, I think, are just a little bit quieter when it comes right down to it. Hard thing to measure.
When you say recover faster, when you have a bad release, they won't be.
Yeah. And that's what I mean about even I've seen guys torque bows so bad when they let up, the string will come out of the notch of the bow. I saw a guy let up one day and unstring his bow because he was torquing. And what I try to tell guys too is no matter what recurve you're getting, that grip is the most important thing on that recurve when you're getting one. You really need to try a few, and Black Widow has a grip that you like and a grip that I like, and they're both not too far apart when it comes right down to it. And it just getting grips where your hand wants. When I designed my grip for Black Widow, I wanted it to be so if I greased it up and didn't hang on to the bow, and I greased it up and I drew back, my hand would stay there. It wouldn't slide off to one side or the other. And that's something to think about when you're buying them. I've had guys buy other grips or have a grip made that they liked, and they grab my bow and they'll shoot my bow better. And it's only because of the grip. That's the only reason why. It's just so important. And if you look at a lot of bowyers now, and what I'm saying is mine's flat, kind of like a compound grip when it comes right down to it, is the way I designed it. And I'm seeing a lot more bowyers that's how they're making their grips now.
You and I both bows have a grip that's not too far apart.
Yeah, that's what I said. Between your grip and my grip, they're pretty damn close.
Yeah.
It's just your one edge is a little different.
Yep. Yeah. And when you say that, it boils down to repeatability. Like you got to be able to repeat your grip.
Well, and you don't want even repeating it. If you're torquing it, it ain't good.
Yeah.
If you're grabbing that thing and torquing it and it's just not good. Also, I'm shooting 60 pounds. I'm shooting a 512 grain arrow. It's our Taipan. I got point collar, not collars on. Broadheads, I've been shooting some VPAs now. 1.25 wide, 125 grain VPAs. Just got some Montex. I do use X99 bowstring material. And what are you using now?
And I go back and forth between X99 and 8125. 8125 is old school, and compared to like X99 or Mercury or, some of the new types of string material. But
is 8125 blended or non-blended?
You know what? I think it's blended. I'd have to look. I mean, when I say that, 8125 is a thinner version, and I'm not a string maker.
So it's on the X99 side. I mean, basically, you have D97, X99, not blended, blended.
And with blended, and I'm not a string maker, but not to dive off the deep end. But when you look at something like Dynaflight 97 compared to X99 or 8125, you can get the same circumference of string or diameter with more strings or more strands.
Right.
So it's stronger. So if you have
I actually have it here because I had some strings that were the same color and I didn't know what they were. And I wanted to know how to tell. And what Steve told me was D97 strings that he makes, they're usually 14 to 16 strands.
Yeah.
And the Mercury 2, which is like a higher performance D97, is 12 strands because it's a fatter strand. Where my X99 is skinnier strands and it's 20 strands. And he said if you try to light it on fire, it won't burn.
Yep.
The X99 won't. So the reason I shoot X99, I shot it for years. I loved it. You probably remember when there was all that back and forth about what was better for your bows and I don't even know, but I thought, well, if Dacron's better, if D97's better, what's it going to hurt? I'll just shoot D97. I got D97. I go down to Arizona. Now, I've never had string trouble in the field, and I've drug my bows and thrown my bows and
shit. Yeah.
And I get down to Arizona, and I sit down to call an elk, and there's a strand hanging off my string.
Okay.
And I'm going, God dang it. And I told the guy, I said, look at this. He says, what now? I said, well, I put a new string on. I grabbed another string out of my pack, swapped it out. So I came back. So I went to Mercury, thinking Mercury is supposed to be a little higher performance, a little more abrasion resistance than that.
Yeah.
And where my spider legs, my Black Widow spider legs were in that, after a while, it was fuzzing in there. And I don't ever get that. I thought, what's wrong with me? Why do I shoot something I like for years and years and years and years, and then I changed all? I gave all my Drake, I usually, if I get strings made, I'll get 6 or 8 of them made.
Yeah, you're like me.
I gave them away to friends that want to shoot that, and I got all new X99s and put those on, and I don't know. I've shot that kind of stuff forever, and I never had any trouble where it hurt my equipment, where I thought it hurt my equipment or that.
Yeah. Well, and I don't, and people ask this all the time, and I'm not a custom string builder, but like D97 is going to have a little more sponge, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No, also the X99 won't stretch like D97 as time goes on. You get your brace height set, it's going to stay way better than D97 will.
Yeah, 100%. And it doesn't have, it has a little bit more snap to it. It's a little more, it doesn't have as much give. But, and I would say D97 is a little tougher than like X99. But that's a moot point because who the fuck shoots a string for 4 years? But the thing, like when you're going through the string side of things, for me is literally just consistency, right? And so when you're in cold, when you're in hot, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And I get a mountain muffler string from Steve. I get the length. He knows what length I want. It comes. I put it on. I'll shoot an arrow, 5 arrows through it. I'll twist it up to where I want it, and it's good. Yeah. And I can't even tell you all the times I see a little bad arrow flight or something, and I think, oh, my string stretched, and I'll go measure it. Nope, not the string. It's always me. And because now I'm not saying you might not have to turn up an X99. If you shoot that thing from all summer long in the heat and stuff, there's going to be wax work its way out of it and stuff too.
Yeah. And
to where you might have to tune it, twist it up a little bit. But overall, my experience is X99 stays better for brace height.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And 80 to 125 is not bad either. But like, when you look, and it's mountain muffler bowstrings for who's looking, that's what Randy and I've shot. Yeah. Well, you more than me. But in fact, I got to get a hold of, I think he's like 5 weeks out now. I'm going to have to like send him extra.
We're going to start selling mountain muffler bowstrings on our website.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to start carrying them, and they're building them for us now, but he's still got customers, and I want him to build us. I don't even know how many strings I ordered from him.
I messaged him and said, "What's your lead time?" He didn't answer me back. I'm like, well, fuck, that's not a good sign. It's probably a while, but he makes a hell of a bow, and he's a good dude. So it's, he's a great guy. But like I use mountain muffler, and I've used OCD and triple T or whatever.
TGT, good. Yeah.
Don't look that guy in the eye, though. He'll take your soul. He's a ginger. You don't want to look him in the eye. But.
Champion bow strings are good strings.
There's a bunch of good string makers, but I've had the best of luck with mountain muffler than anyone.
Yeah, I've had guys try to get me to change, and I said no. And here's where I'm kind of loyal too, because I've had guys try to get me to change strings, and one guy even said, "I'll buy you a string. If you'll shoot it, I'll buy it and give it to you." I said, I'm not changing. Don't send it to me. Well, what if it's better? I said, I'm not changing. I said, my strings work good. They don't stretch. I don't know what you're going to do to a string to make it any better for me. That I'm going to be able to shoot better.
The thing with me, and I'm more superstitious maybe than you. Oh, my little puppy's giving me crap. Quit it, buddy. A lot of it's mojo, and some of my best memories have that goofy looking silencer on my string, right? And call me crazy, right? But some of the craziest shit I ever did on the side of the mountain, I've got a mountain muffler bowstring on
with all the wool on it, huh?
Yeah, whatever, the little silencer thing by the limb tip or whatever. So when people like bring things up, I'm like, look, confidence is far more important than a 2%, 1% increase in whatever, right? And so if I get a strong stiffy because I got a mountain muffler on, that's far more important than 1 foot per second, an increase of 1 feet per second. So,
Yep. And I tell guys that are calling me about heavy and light arrows, and they're thinking about going light. I said, if you're sitting up in your tree stand and you're worried that your arrow is 50 grains lighter than it used to be, you probably shouldn't be shooting that arrow then. If you're going to sit up there and worry about that, and an animal comes in and you're worried you're not going to get through it or something, you shouldn't be using it.
Well, and I mean, I bring that up like when I go to full draw, the last thing on my mind is, what does my arrow weigh?
Yeah.
I don't worry. I don't. Same thing hiking down a trail. I've never said, man, I wish my pack was smaller, but I've definitely said, damn, I wish my pack was bigger. But when I go to full draw, I'm never like, man, do I have enough momentum? Last thing on, my mind. The number one thing is I hope I hit this fucking thing. Accuracy is what's generally on my mind.
Exactly.
But so that's mountain muffler strings, and then you went over a lot of other stuff, your broadheads and everything else. What are some of the things like finger tabs?
I shoot a Rod Jenkins Elite Safari Tough Tab. They're built with a plate on them that'll keep your hand straight, and the way the plate is, you can put your string right against the plate and make sure you get in the same spot every time, and then you don't get that odd like you do with the glove where you start getting grooves in a glove, which is why gloves aren't. I understand why guys like gloves, but gloves aren't the best thing for being accurate with. You get grooves in, they change. Gloves don't last long before you start getting the grooves in them. I'm not here to change your mind. I'm just saying, you get a tab, it'll look the same. It'll look the same for years.
Gloves suck. I'll just say it for you. Gloves are not consistent. They're not a great idea.
No. Excuse me. I've been battling.
Randy's allergic to gloves. He's sneezing now, and he's not.
I even talk about him, and I get gagging. But and then talking about, I do use stick tamers on the ends of my limbs for the string to lay against, and I just use the black widow spiders. The stick tamers are nice if you're hunting out of a tree stand, you hang your bow up. It hangs on that stick tamer, not on the. It doesn't pinch between the string and the limb. That way you can get it off easy without binding.
For the string to lay in.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's a little, and it's real lightweight foam. I've tuned my bow and then I put those on. It doesn't change anything. There's nothing there.
I can tell you tree stand hunting, which, one of the bucks I killed, I went through the string and had the easy hanger sitting on the quiver, because if you take a regular recurve longbow and you hang it on an easy hanger and a deer comes in, especially if the wind's been blowing, you are not going to have a fluid movement of getting that off the easy hanger. So the string tamer, that alone is a real good reason to look at putting those on.
Yeah. And I think the pair weighs 60 grains, maybe something like that. Not much.
I've never noticed it affecting speed when I put them on my bows. I've never,
I put them on. It's way up. Yeah. Way up the end. And it keeps you from catching brush and that too.
Yep.
If you're walking along.
What other little tidbits, as far as gear wise,
you have to cut this out.
Randy's not, when with little tweaks or whatever, I shoot a springy rest and Randy does too.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to shoot off a springy, off the shelf, it's off the shelf. The bare weather rest is not a horrible idea if you want to.
They're not. The bare weather rests work really well. I shot them, but you want to get some kind of Teflon tape and put on the arm and put on across where your arrow rubs on the side plate. Otherwise, you just wear grooves right in them.
Pretty quick.
Pretty quick. With aluminum arrows, they might not, but carbon arrows are pretty rough overall. And, they'll wear grooves in them and it'll be annoying. The reason I quit shooting bare weather rests, when I was hunting my grizzly bear, I had that grizzly bear bedded down in some alders, and we got up and sat up above the alders right where the bear was. And I had to sit there for 7 hours with an arrow knocked, waiting for that bear to get up. And I noticed that the arrow was making that arm bend a little bit. Yeah, and I'd lift it up and down, and it would make it flex a little bit up and down. And that bugged me. Now, I'd been shooting it fine, but that bugged me, that little bit of flex. And so that's when I went back, or not back, but went to springies and been shooting them ever since. Yeah, and with springies, you want to make sure you get 2mm D-loop. Take the core out and slide them in around the spring.
So with what Randy's talking about, I'm going to dive into that a little bit. So when you have a springy rest, it's a pigtail. You've got like a through bowl goes through riser. The spring rest goes on. In my opinion, it's the best option for hunting by far, bar none. You've got different ways to quiet that down. You've got heat shrink, which I would say is at the bottom of the barrel for options, but it works. You put shrink tube on, you heat it up. And then you've got Teflon, surgical tubing, basically. It's clear tubing that you can put on. I would say that's number 2. And the longest lasting is what Randy's talking about. Well, go ahead.
Yeah. And because with the D loop, you can run it all the way around the coil. It's a little hard, but you get it all the way around. So you have the side of your arrow hitting it and on the arm it's sticking off.
Yep. So what Randy's talking about, where you run it all the way up the spring and then all the way around, so it's on your side plate as well for noise. And what you want to do, and you just take D-loop and you pull the inner cords out of it, and then you just force it on there, spread the spring out a little bit and go all the way around. And the spring rest I've got now, I think I've had for 3 bows with the same cord, D-loop cord. Yeah, I've never worn one out. But
I shot shrink tubing for a long time, and I never really had any problems with it. But guys were telling me they're wearing out, and I told them it's because their bows weren't tuned. It was rubbing too hard on it.
I would say that's probably.
I don't know. I just telling them that just to be an ass.
I think that's probably true though, because if you're tearing stiff, it will wear that out quick.
Yeah, I mean, even on the arm, they'll wear it off, just like you do a bare weather rest.
Yeah.
But the it's BCY polyester 2 millimeter D loop is what. And when you buy springies from me, we send out a piece for the arrow rest for the spring, so guys don't have to come up. That stuff's expensive. If you only need a couple inches. I went to a shop and told them I needed some, and guy said, "Oh, I'll make you a good deal." And he pulled off about 3 feet, and it was $10.
$10. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's expensive.
And I that was a good deal. And I thought, and so I get rolls of it now and start sending it out with all the springs.
You can actually order
about it.
Whatever. You can actually order like mountaineering, like guy line, like for tents and stuff.
Yeah.
That's
that small.
Yeah. 1.8 millimeter fits fine over a springy, and you can get it on Amazon. It's cheap as shit.
I didn't.
That's an option as well compared to D-loop, but it may sparkle when you put a headlamp on it or whatever, but I mean, it'll work too. But I would say though, that springy rest that if you're not shitting on it because you're an old crusty, that springy rest will help you in many different ways. It's easier to adjust, because I was like in the beginning, like shimming shit out back and forth with shooting off shelf. So you can go in and out. It's quiet, and then you can change the springs on it as well. The stiffness of the spring. But it's more forgiving, right? That's the biggest thing. It just makes you more accurate.
Things I have heard from guys that, and I don't know if it's like that, old guys told them that about, you're going to catch that, and you're going to catch it when you're walking, and it's going to stretch out. And I've caught mine plenty of times, and all it does is go, I've never, ever
couldn't bend that fucking thing if you try. No. I mean, when I put that, the D-loop on it, I put a screwdriver
it's hard to get it around
to get a gap. And it won't, I mean, it's spring steel. It's not gonna, I mean,
and a 20, like a silver, number 20, it's softer, it's weaker. I haven't messed with 20s really. Most guys, if they're going to shoot one, you get a black 25 and you can go from 40 to 70 pounds with a black number 25.
Yeah. I shoot a 30.
Well, and that's non-movable. Totally non-movable. A third, that's what I was just going to say. You get a 30, that's about like shooting off the shelf.
Yeah.
Because it ain't. No, they're stiff. They ain't giving like a 25. A 20, you get too heavy an arrow, and that's where you start seeing that arm bend. when you put your arrow on it and see the give. So, but if you're shooting a lighter bow and lighter arrows, 20s work fine. Then again, it's the same old thing. Get a 25, 30, try them both, see what shoots best for you.
Now, do you guys sell those? It's for a tough.
Mm-hmm. We have the regular, the old original that goes through, and we have one that Trent Wingard came up with.
Yeah, the short one.
That little short one, and the stem doesn't stick out the back side of your bow. It's just flush. There's a set screw that goes in to hold it.
Is when you put the old style on a riser, you would have the springy coming through, but you would have a big all thread sticking out the other side, and the one that you guys carry is hidden.
We have both, but the Wingard one I try to get everybody to get because it works so nice. But some of them ILF bows, they can get really cut far past center for whatever reason. With so much clearance, you about got to have that old original one to run them out.
Yeah, run them
out far. Yeah, to run them out far enough to get them center shot or just past center.
As we're going down the rabbit hole, what string silencers do you like?
I like the Black Widow spider legs, and they're not. Cool. They're not spider legs. They look like spiders and they're flat and they're kind of a rubbery. But here's the thing. Like I was tuning the other day, I tuned that 45 pounder up and it got down to where I was just barely off on a bullet hole. And what I did, I got 2 spiders on each end. I went to the 2 spiders that are closest to my serving. I cut 4 legs off one and 4 legs off the other and I brought it right in.
No shit.
I mean, oh yeah, You can just like if you got puff balls, you can trim puff balls down to change your tune. You can move them spiders if you're running rubber legs of that. If you're shooting too stiff, move your legs out towards the end of your limbs, and that'll bring that in. If you can bring them in, if you're shooting weak, you can bring them in closer to your serving, and that'll change your tune. So. There's lots of little things you can do like that to fine tune.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. And I learned a lot of that, from you, on the tuning side of things. And I would say, when you're going through all this and kind of learning, when in doubt, go with what you're comfortable with. Like, people are like, hey, if I run 2 spiders, am I going to lose too much speed?
Yeah.
If that makes you feel good, shoot one, right? I mean,
I'm a speed guy, but I still worry more about you. Still want your bow quiet and accurate.
It's only 2 feet per second. If you,
you ain't gonna notice a couple feet per second.
I put 3 on once to see. I lost 5 feet. It's not.
Oh no shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not much. Yeah, no, it's not.
I've never really tried. I didn't care. I like having them on for that reason too. I can tune by just cutting the legs off the spiders. I can fine tune with that.
Yeah. Anything I'm leaving out on the gear, tuning, like whatever, tweaking stuff?
That's what I was thinking about, the tuning things and because I did a whole seminar at Compton last year, and I had people come up to me afterwards and wondering if I had it on video because there's so many things I went over they had no idea what you could do. Just like that, they didn't know you could raise your brace height. If you were shooting weak, you could raise your brace height or lower your brace height. Raise it if you're shooting stiff. Just little things like that to get fine-tuned. It's stupidly opposite.
You go, if you're shooting stiff, you go up in brace height, not down, with recurve. So if you're
if you're stiff, you raise, which you'd think in your head that you'd want to go down and make it shoot harder.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not that way. And, I tell there's a lot of things I like and I do, and the broadheads I use in that. And I just tell everybody too. I said, look, all I got is bro science for you. I don't have any data. I just know what I've done over and over and over for years and stuff like that. If you want data, you got to go to Cody Greenwood.
Yeah.
Or
He'll give it to you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's got it. And just like Bill, Iron Will Bill, that guy's done everything to get, data to the gnat's ass with just vein size and that. And
I would say if you're not intelligent and you're a shaved ape and you're a knuckle dragger, don't listen to Cody or Bill. Just do what's comfortable because you might get confused.
You could get flustered very easily, especially if you don't remember exactly what they told you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's no shit.
But, anyway. I know what I was going to ask you. Talk a little bit about hunting here. I had something I learned this year elk hunting, and I've said it on a couple other podcasts. I've been elk hunting every year since 1981, a lot of times twice. And I learned something this year that maybe you're going to tell me, how could you not know that? But I'm hunting an over-the-counter unit in Colorado where success is 4%.
Yeah.
And I come onto this 5-point bull and this spike that are out in the park, and a small park. It wasn't real big. I don't know how. It was probably 200 yards, 150 yards across or whatever. But anyway, they're out there eating. But I didn't see them, and they heard me in the timber. It was kind of a little bit of deadfalls and stuff. They heard me, and when I saw them, they were looking my way. So now we're just sitting there staring and staring and staring. And that spike barks at me.
Yeah.
I barked back at him. And that got their attention.
Yeah. You bark back.
I barked right back. That 5-point and that spike both came into me. They tried to get downwind. They couldn't get into the timber because it was so thick. And they turned and they walked in front of me at 40 yards. I couldn't get a shot. And they walked off and started walking back where they were. And I barked again.
Yeah.
And it made them stop. And I actually called them again. I barked a couple more times. They came back in and I got them at 30 yards and I couldn't get a shot.
Yep.
And I had no clue about, usually you hear bark, they're out of here kind of thing.
There's two barks. There's the alert bark and there's a challenge bark.
Well, I copied what they did.
So one of the biggest bulls, well, go ahead.
No, go ahead and finish.
No, one of the biggest bulls I never killed years ago, right? I didn't know. I was 12 yards, 11 yards in a super, thick willow thicket, and he kept barking and I would just bark back. And every time I heard a bark, it was they smelled me and they get the fuck out, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a challenge bark and there's a show yourself bark, right? And so it's literally saying, hey, come out here and kick my ass. Like, show yourself. I want to see you. And so, yeah, anytime you're sub 20, sub 30, sub 40, like bark back as close as you can, because they're literally going to come in and look closer because they're like, yeah, I'm going to kick your ass.
And another spot, different area, same last year too again. I walked up, there was a high line that had been cut out. And there was a spike and a little raghorn bull out there again. And same thing, I'm in these really bad deadfalls and I can't move. And I was trying to figure out a way. Well, they heard me. I broke something. And they heard me and they're staring. And they stared for a long time. And they walked away from me through that clear cut where the telephone lines were and walked. And as soon as they got in the timber, I barked. And that 5-by come running out of there right back at me and stopped. And then the spike come out behind it. And he stood there. And I barked again. And then he started circling me and I couldn't, it was just so thick in deadfalls. I couldn't move. When he started to go down, I couldn't move at all to get over to try and get a shot at him when he started circling trying to win me. But I barked at him. He come running back to me. I was, God dang it. I need to be walking around this timber barking, not.
It's almost like a snort wheeze.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was just, and I'm thinking, how do I not know this? I watch a lot of elk hunting shows and stuff.
Yeah.
I ain't never seen anybody bark at elk to get them to come in.
and like I said, I don't know, it was 2007 or 8. I had that happen, whatever in the Willows. And, the one thing that I will say is if you are calling for a guy and you have one blowout or whatever, if you bark, they'll stop. Guaranteed. Even though that's an alert bark for the most part, or I smelled you and they leave. It's like a doe blowing or whatever, like when you get blown out. But man, I tell you, when you do it at you do it at the wrong time,
it's all over.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's not good. Yeah. But
no, and have both these elk knew something was up, but they didn't know what.
Yep. But if you bark back, they will hang out for a minute. What I mean, like they'll at least wait to see, because it's kind of like a show yourself bark. It's like, hey, let me see you or whatever, and they'll hang out to like visually hope that they see what they're fucking with. So yeah.
And then them first two that came by me at 30 yards, and I had one limb stop me from shooting. They walked back out there, and after that, they stayed out there, and then they just fed off. They never did run away scared, like that,
Yeah.
But I just since 1981, and I didn't know this.
Yeah.
I felt like an idiot.
The only reason, again, like I said, I knew it as I got into a huge kind of,
but you learned it.
Yeah.
Why isn't this public knowledge out there?
Chris Rowe talks about it.
Does he? And
but
I got,
No, go ahead.
No, I got thinking about it after it happened. I got thinking, I think I did hear somebody talk about barking one time.
Yeah.
On a podcast, and maybe that was him on one of yours.
Could have been. But I will say, like, when if everything else has gone to shit, bark. And I've what? And I'm like, so you blow one out, let's say, or whatever, or they caught a little bit of your wind. If you bark, it'll give you a few seconds, because when I say bark, like a challenge bark, because they're gonna stop and be like, what's going on? Like, because it's kind of a show yourself bark. And even when you find elk that bark because they smelled you, they don't bark and run away. They generally bark, and there's a few seconds, and then they blow out, right? And it's unique, because I would say if you're hunting in what's that unit in Colorado with all the not cottonwood, but the
the beetle kills? Or what?
No, the in 62, the
the oak brush.
Oak brush. Like oak brush would be a good example of where you want to bark, right? Because you're so close, you may not get a shot.
I wish I would have. I wish I would have known that when I had a 61 tag.
Yeah, 60. Like you could be that close and not get a shot.
I couldn't get them to show themselves.
But that'll do it. That bark will be like, it's a big dick contest in a bar, right? It's literally like, show me, like, let me see what you got. I say that, but I mean, there's times you can do it and they'll run away. But I mean, for the most part, with what we're talking about, it's show yourself, like, let me see you.
Yeah, it was incredible. I couldn't believe that it worked multiple times is what I couldn't believe when I did it, and
well, and I'll say, if you want to kill a 3-year-old, bark. They don't know what
these were young, these were young 5x bulls.
I mean, if you're hunting over the counter, a 3-year-old's a trophy, right? Like, I mean,
it is. Yeah.
And so
I was going to try and shoot him.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, believe I get it. So, but I mean, the younger the bull, if you bark, they're going to be more
apt to
susceptible or apt to. Oh yeah, they'll come in.
What about cows? Will cows respond to it?
Oh yeah. I mean, I will say, like, if you get a cow that starts barking, and you're like, oh my God, she's going to leave, but you want to shoot her, bark. She'll hang out, because if it's a more dominant bark, and I'm not a calling expert, but I'm going off of what she'll think a bull's in there, and she's like, oh, is there a dominant bull inside? You know what I mean? Like, she'll like start, you'll see them like peeking around, like, is there a bull inside? So it doesn't, I mean, it's like a doe blowing. They're not going to hang out for that long, but they'll hang out longer than they would if you didn't do it. So,
yeah.
I mean, we're talking about barking and scaring animals, but it is crazy because if you get a bull that smells you and barks, you're like, fuck.
It's all over. Normally, I'm just saying, oh, hey, he's gone.
Yeah, but if one barks and you bark back, you've got at least 20, 30 seconds before he gets out of there. He's going to be
I've had him bark, just stand there and bark at you.
Yeah.
You know,
but they'll come closer if you bark back, I guess.
That's what I mean. But I never barked back at him. And I've had, believe me, I've had plenty that would stand there and bark at, you know. I hate to say it, but, you know.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, shit. So, well, before we get out, what plans do you have this year? Anything crazy?
I'm going to go to Colorado and hunt. I'm sure I'm going to draw a tag there. I got to go out and elk hunt. It sucks where I'm going. But I have to be out in the mountains. I just got to go out. I got to be out in the mountains camping and hunting and maybe packing in, you know, a night or two and stuff like that. I can't stand not going out there. So I'll apply for that used to be an over the counter tag where I'm sure I'll get one. And then we apply to Montana too. And that's a lot harder to draw on that. Other than that, I got a lease in Missouri. I whitetail hunt. The last 2 years I bought Sika deer tags from Maryland and then never got out there, got too busy or stuff happened and I wasn't able to get out there. I still want to kill one of them damn little things.
The guy, what's it? Chris Wilder?
Yeah. Chris.
Yeah, super good dude. He invites me, but I'm like, man, I'm not flying all the way out there to shoot my fucking dog, right? You're a great dude.
Yeah, but I mean, I one of the guys shot a hind while I was there, and with guts in him, that it might have weighed 30 pounds.
I shit that big. That's a big trip.
Yeah, no, I know. The stags are a little bit bigger, but they're hard to get. I mean, if you can kill a hind, you're doing something. It's worth shooting if you get a good. I mean,
it's hard enough to shoot something that size, the size of foam with the recurve, let alone something breathing.
Yeah.
It's like shooting a diker.
I've been out there a couple times. I missed one time. I shot a hind, shot it for 30 yards, and it was only 25. After I stood up, I was on the ground, and I stood up, started walking towards where it was, and I thought, Jesus, I didn't have time to. I hadn't range find right there or anything, you know, and that little thing looked a mile away. And I went just over its back too. And I like, God dang it. And I realized I shot it for too far, but, I'll get out. If I draw 2 elk tags, I'll go on 2 elk hunts. I don't know what else. Michigan, I'll hunt, whitetails here, but they're not real good ones. I always get a couple pictures of some decent ones. I saw one that was probably booked last year. That's just over here where I hunt. It's just not real big caliber deer.
Yeah.
Because the one last year I shot, I know it was probably a 3.5 and it wasn't, it was like what I'd call a 2.5 anywhere else. Maybe, you know, I mean, it just, they're tough to get really good ones. Guys do, but.
While we're talking about scoring, so you're an official Pope and Young scorer.
I retired from it, but I was for 20 years.
If you ever want to know if you're lying, get a hold of Randy because he'll tell you. You have scored a lot. So,
I had a guy come up one day with a buck. He said, I always question them when they call. And the guy had a buck and he says, he says, it's easy 125. He says, I think it's pushing 135. And he brings it in and I go, and I didn't mean to, but I just kind of looked at it and kind of sighed a little bit. And he goes, what's wrong? I said, that's not going to make the book, buddy. And he goes, what? I used the scoring. I went through it and I said, it was like 100 inches.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was that far off, but people get in there and they'll score. They'll add in the greatest spread, the inside spread. You know, I mean,
believe me, I've saw shit and you've called me and you were like, how big is that thing actually? And I'm like, it's 120 maybe, whatever. But you can do a lot with, leave Yeah, in and out.
Just when you take pictures, get down on the ground and shoot up at them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wide angle.
Get low. Yeah.
But how long were you a scorer?
20 over 20 years.
And I don't want to misspeak, but back in the day, that was far more, it seems to me, important than now. Now is more about social media and the perceived score compared to maybe back then. But what's your thoughts on that?
Well, Pope and Young now, they're putting the gross score in where they didn't used to. They just did nets. And I kind of get, there's a couple things. Guys are always saying they killed Boone and Crockett deer or Pope and Young deer and never had them measured. Well, until you have it measured, it's not Pope and Young. It's just, they run around saying I killed a Pope and Young deer and you never measured it. I don't think it's right. Another thing is guys would always say to me, because they get mad about having a net score, because Pope and Young's made to score for symmetry. They have non-typical they do have non-typical categories, but it's for symmetry. And so guys that get bucks and they say, because they weren't getting to score every inch of it by the time you do deductions for symmetry and that, it make them mad. And they go, yeah, nets are for fish. And I go, you don't have any trouble scoring all that air between the main beams, do you? And adding that in.
Yeah.
And, the thing about it, the score being typical, net score versus gross score, it's nice they do both now. Yeah. Because you can have a net score buck that is a really nice buck. When it takes 15 inches of non-typical before you can score it as non-typical, and that all gets taken off, that's a lot of inches on a rack that if you don't see that rack and you just hear the score, you're not going to realize how good it is.
Yeah.
And how big it is. So it made me happy when they started including the gross score with it, because you really want to know when you look at them or hear the scores. It's nice to know. It's more of a story about the buck and what it is if you have both. I like net. I've done the net thing for so long that I'm almost better at it. I can look at a buck. And I'm not far off at all. Even on the hoof, I can look at a buck, and usually if I look at a buck, like a buck comes in that's 125 and it comes in, and if I say to myself, oh, that can go either way, it ain't over 125, it's under. If I go, that can go either way.
Every fucking deer I've ever shot, when you called me and said, what's that thing score? You were within an inch or two. Like, whether I was way out, way in, like using my magical camera or whatever, you were always.
I know, like them bucks that go either way, it's because I've shot a bunch of them. Yeah. And they're always at 123, 124, that if I thought, it can go either way, and I killed it. I'm pretty good at guessing bucks out to about 140.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of them. But when you get past that, for me, it gets harder guessing what they are.
As we're talking about that, I would encourage people to not give a shit until later, right? Like, that's when people ask me, like, what do you think this scores? I'm like, are you happy?
Yeah.
What's the matter? Right? Like, you want me to ask me, you think my wife's good looking? Don't ask me that, right? Like, fuck, man. I don't want to answer that question. Like, if you had a great hunt and you shot a great deer for you, that's all that matters, and right?
That guy that brought that buck in that was 100 inches and he thought it was pushing 140.
Happiest man alive.
That's the biggest buck he ever killed, and I let the wind out of his sails.
Yeah.
Well, he's like, you're kidding.
Yeah.
No, I can't help it. I can't grow that to make that thing grow. But but as hard as I've tried many times when I've tried to shoot stuff and wanted it to grow, but yeah, and I felt bad for the guy. I said, look, man, you killed a really good buck for where we're hunting and where you shot it. I said, it's a good buck. And he says, yeah, but I thought I killed a Pope Young deer. I said, it don't matter. I said, you know what? In the very, very end, you're going to be gone, and there ain't anybody's going to give a shit.
Yeah.
And not only that, nobody really gives a shit now. What do you get for it? If you killed a Pope and Young deer, what are you going to get? What you get nothing. You get a pat on the back. You get a pat on the back, and you like to shoot bigger stuff. As you go along and get better and better and more, you're going to pass stuff up, and that is like down in Missouri. If I killed the first buck that come by, I'd be done the first day.
Yeah,
and wouldn't even get any hunting time in.
Do you think the Pope and Young stuff has become less important over the last 15 years, or more important, or what do you think?
It has, because big name people were worried about gross.
Yeah.
When Pope and Young was scoring for net scores, a lot of the celebrities and stuff, they were always worried about gross scores. And that's what's made everybody else worry about gross scores. And Pope and Young Club does a lot for conservation and stuff too. They're not just a scoring club.
Like Buckmasters, that's more of a scoring, they count everything type of a deal, like with Buckmasters.
Yeah. That gets scored more and added in like I don't know, like SCI kind of thing. I think SCI adds. Yeah, they count everything. And now with Pope and Young, but it still means a lot to guys. I mean, guys that would come over and I'd score their bucks and they'd be getting. I mean, them guys when they made Pope and Young, them guys were so happy and I was glad, I mean, but it's just like, shoot, I want a 340 bull so bad I can taste it. And I haven't even killed a bull that officially scores over 300. And I was passing up 300 bulls in Arizona for 14 days. I hunted the whole season.
Smacked the shit out of you when you told me that. I was like, are you fucking kidding?
I got video of a 300-inch bull or a little better at 20 yards for 15 minutes screaming that.
You told me, and I've had people, I don't, maybe question like your, I don't want to say integrity, but did he really? And I'm like, Randy Cooling has been on how many sheep hunts when you could have killed a sheep every hunt with a rifle?
I've been on 5 doll sheep hunts. Yeah.
And you could have killed.
And I never drew my bow. Oh, I've been within only one Alaska hunt. We never saw a legal ram. But the other 4 hunts, 3 in the NWT. So I saw legal rams in the NWT.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I've had people with, when we've talked before podcasts, that you were full of shit. And I'm like, you know what? Randy's one of the 1 in a million that's not, where you were passing up 300 bulls or whatever. And I'm like, no, Randy's not full of shit. Because I've been with you where I'm begging you to shoot an Aoudad, where you're waiting for one bigger. And I'm like, motherfucker, just shoot this thing. And you're waiting for a bigger Aoudad, right? So
I mean, and like passing up them bulls in Arizona, them tags don't come every day. That was a once in a lifetime opportunity for me to have that zone. And we were seeing bulls that were in that 350. I was in on them. Huh?
Was it 14, 18, 20 years? What did it take you to draw that?
I could have drew it I had 21 points. I could have drew it with 17. I actually was the highest point guy for that zone. But I mean, I'm in an area that I'm seeing 350 bulls, 340 bulls, 330 bulls. I had 3 times I needed one more step and never got it to where I was going to get a shot at a good bull. Yeah. Good for me. I mean, I don't, to go down there and say, oh, I got to have a 375. That's not, you think of them in that, but that's pretty tough to do. That's a big bull anywhere, as far as I'm concerned. I had a 61 tag in Colorado I never killed. I feel like an idiot I never killed a bull there. I saw that I was going to kill a 300-inch bull there, but I wasn't going to kill a 240, 230, 240 and that because I saw lots of bulls that were up there in that 300 range, and just couldn't get it done in that oak brush. And
I'm not a fan of that unit because of that oak brush.
And that took me 24 years to draw that tag.
Yeah.
And that, it was a great hunt. I had a great time, and it was a great hunt, and I was in lots of elk and screaming elk. But, no, I mean, everything's relative to, very well, it's all relative to where you're at. And okay, my bighorn sheep hunt in Wyoming, 24 years to draw the tag. I hunted 17 days with my recurve. The last day I shot a ram I grabbed the rifle and shot a ram at 525 yards. And that was the first time I ever shot anything with a rifle. And I was never going to get that tag again. It was impossible. If I didn't shoot that ram, I was walking away. I was lighting it on fire.
Yeah.
Because I was going to get to go elk, I wasn't going to get to go hunt bighorn sheep again in Wyoming. Yeah. And I gave it a try, and I got close a few times and just got screwed over.
What's the closest you've got to a ram?
20. I had 3 rams bedded head on at 20 yards off a cliff. It was 30 yards, but it was only a 20-yard shot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And as a crow flies, it was 30, but it was a 20-yard shot. But they were head on, and I had some other sheep come down behind us and see us and run down in on them and scare them off before I could get a shot.
You were going to take the frontal shot, though.
Probably not. It was kind of where them 3 bighorns were laying. If they'd have got up, they would have had to turn to get away from where they were.
Was that on the Wyoming hunt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The closest I ever got to NWT was 75.
Yeah. Yeah, on a doll.
Yeah, and I was going to shoot 55. Shoot to 55. Yeah. But I wasn't shooting good enough.
I've got to ask you, because Denny's going to listen to this. So, according to Clay, when Denny shot his sheep, the arrow bounced off a rock and killed that.
No. He missed. Denny missed twice.
Yeah.
And that sheep didn't know. Denny missed it a couple times.
Yeah.
And then he really took his time and he bared down and he.
Because Denny talked, he was also figuring out like the face walking and he had a.
Yeah, we face. That's how we get that long range like that.
Yeah.
I aim my shot out to 70 yards. I'm always aiming on the target. I never aim high or low. I might aim the bottom of it, the belly of it.
Yeah.
But I'm always on the animal because I face walk. And my shelf, my third anchor right here, and my shelf, if you ever see my shelf, has fluorescent yellow cresting tape on it.
Yeah.
Wrap on it. My third anchor and that is 70 yards point on.
Gotcha.
And that's where having that elevated rest gets you more too. Because I can I can walk down. I can use the bottom of the rest to aim too. So, and when you move back, it raises you up too. The farther you move back down the arrow, it raises you up. So when you're aiming off the shelf like that, it really moves you up.
Yeah.
Because I'm right here, my arrow point on is 53 on my third anchor. And then my shelf is 70.
So are you going to ever go on another doll hunt, you think?
No. Can't afford it. They priced me out. Unfortunately, I always thought I would. I've seen guys out there 70 years old.
Yeah.
Because they drop you off in a helicopter.
Yeah.
And I've seen guys doing it, but I can't afford it unless I come into a bunch of money.
Sell Safari Tough. Might go one
sell
more
Safari
time.
Sell Safari Tough, and then all of it will be gone.
We're all on hunts all at one time.
Blow it all at once, yeah. No, them doll hunts are. I mean, they were a lot of money for me when I went. I think the most I paid. I took a cancellation hunt with Simpsons. Before he sold it.
Yeah, Stan Simpson.
And I took a cancellation hunt for sheep. And my booking agent just called me up and says, "Hey, I got a cancellation sheep hunt. You want it?" I said, "Yeah, I'll take it." Well, it was a combo hunt. So instead of 20, it was 27,000 and included a woodland or a mountain caribou.
Caribou, yeah.
So I got a little bit of sticker shot at the time, but I told him I'd take it. And I ended up killing like a 360, 65. I don't know.
Yeah, big mountain caribou.
It's a nice one. Yeah, it's really nice. I didn't get it. I did. We had a full curl, and you can tell me what you would have done. We had a full curl sheep that I could have got 25 yards from.
Yeah.
The guide wouldn't let me shoot it. He said it was only 6.5 years old.
Oh, fuck. 6.5, you can get in trouble. That would have been a tough one.
Trouble with who?
I can tell you if it was 7.5, I would have been good. If it was 6.5, Clay would have beat the fuck out of me.
That's who you'd get in trouble with.
Being a guy that with a recurve, I would have shot the fuck out of that myself. Like personally,
well, he told me I couldn't shoot it, so I.
It's weird up there. It's not weird. I mean,
because it's way legal. I mean, you can kill half curler that up there too. Anyway, can you? In NWT?
At the time, yeah. I mean, I don't know about now, but yeah.
Yeah, but you could.
Yeah. But they didn't
want you to.
Full curl 6.5.
Full curl.
Yeah,
it wasn't real heavy. It wasn't real heavy and stuff.
Well, I mean, you know me well enough. If we ran into a full curl 6.5, that thing would have been deader than fucking fried chicken.
Here's what happened. He told me we were down, and he said, "Just stay here. I'm going to crawl up. I'm going to peek over the edge and take a look at it." Yeah, and he did, and he come back and he said, "Oh, we can't shoot it. It's only 6.5." And then we got talking later. He says, "Oh, it was full curl, but it was only 6.5."
I guess, I mean, who knows what that would have been at 9.5, 10.5. But I mean, you know me, if somebody told me I
paid $27,000 to shoot a sheep.
Yeah, exactly. If somebody told me I couldn't shoot a 6.5 full curl, I probably, well, you know me, I would have beat the fuck out of him on the side of the mountain. I would have shot it.
Yeah.
But that's me. But
yeah. No, I believe you.
Yeah.
I believe you.
Yeah.
But anyway, me being who I am. But like I say, he said later, a little later, he said it was full curl, but he didn't tell me right at the time. And I don't know if when he told me, I don't remember anymore. If we could have went back, but we were already walking away, going to look for different sheep.
Yeah.
But when he told me it was full curl, I said, "What the?" He says, "It's only 6.5." And he probably said something like, "The outfitter will kill me if we shoot that sheep," you know?
Yeah. Well, Denny's was only 7.5, I think, right?
I don't know. I don't know what his was.
I mean, looking at pictures, I think it was 7.5.
Was it?
I could be wrong.
I'm so happy for him, but he goes on. That's his first sheep hunt too, and I invited him on it. He wasn't even going.
What's crazy is, rewind. I go help Clay, and I meet Clay at Fort St. John. I meet Clay in Kelowna. We go to Fort St. John, and he hands me a bow that Denny Sturgis gave him from that hunt for a tip. And I'm shooting Denny Sturgis's bow in 2012 at Clay's house in Fort St. John. And then fast forward, you and Denny and Tom are like mentoring me. I didn't even know who Denny was. And I'm shooting his longbow Black Widow at Clay Lancaster's house that he got for a tip on one of the hunts he went with Clay.
Yeah, Denny hunted with him on a moose hunt and did some other hunting with him too, with Clay.
Mm-hmm.
Clay wasn't guiding Denny on that sheep hunt.
Whatever hunt or whatever Clay had.
Denny has hunted with Clay, yeah.
Yeah, whatever hunt it was, Denny left Clay a longbow, and I was slinging arrows out of that thing in 2012 with Clay before I even met, Denny.
I'll be damned.
Yeah, small world.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, but
well, anyway, I hate to bore anybody any longer either.
Yeah, no, I should feed the dogs and everything else, man. But dude, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, and I tell everybody where they can find Safari Tough and you and everything.
Oh my God, yeah. After all this, if you go to safaritough.com, you can check out all our different products and that. My email and my personal cell phone number is on there currently, and I answer the phone about any time. We've been doing really well, and it's getting to be a lot more answering the phone, but that's fine. I don't mind helping guys out. I prefer, especially if they're having an issue, I'm not going to sit and go back and forth with 40 emails or 50 texts. I can usually tell when somebody texts me if I need to talk to them or not. But anyway, SafariTough.com. You can go to Safari Tough on Instagram and on Facebook, and my personal page, which I don't get too much on there anymore, but I do have a lot of stuff on there, is at Randy_Cooling. And that's my personal page on Instagram, just Randy Cooling on Facebook. So
right on. Well, cool, man.
Anyway.
Well, again, I appreciate everything. Definitely the help when I was shooting the stick bow, and I'm sure now that I'm picking it back up, I'm going to be calling you for more advice to help me not suck. So, but everybody,
I was glad to see you grabbing it again. Always glad to welcome guys back into the cult. No kidding, man. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in, and check out Randy's stuff. And thanks for hopping on. Yeah, thank you so much. Take care, bud.